Well, is the Islamic faith a threat to our nation? Well, one woman says she knows Muslims living here in America who are intent on changing our political and religious beliefs to those of the Qur'an.
We're back now with Nonie Darwish. She's the author of Now They Call Me Infidel, an amazing story. As a child of an Egyptian officer in Gaza, your father was martyred for the cause of jihad, which is the holy war. Now, what was so fascinating to me is after that time you ended up in a Catholic school as opposed to the teaching that you had growing up. How did that happen and how did that change your life?
My mom wanted to give us good British education, and at that time the British had just left Egypt, but still some of the schools that they established in Egypt existed. So I was taught by British nuns, and I saw an aspect of Christianity that was very different from the way I was taught. It was more peaceful, there was more love, there was more tolerance, compassion.
What had you been taught up until that point, and what are the Islamic schools teaching young kids?
There's cursing of the infidels and cursing of the Jews almost all the time at the end of the sermon. May God destroy the infidels and the Jews, the enemies of God. We'd hear that very common, and believe it or not, it used to sound normal.
It sounded normal.
It sounded normal because when you grow up on it all the time, you think this is right.
This is in the textbooks, isn't it? I mean, this is in the textbooks. This is what they learn.
It's in the textbooks. It's in the preaching of holy men in the mosque. There is something every American must understand, after 9/11 especially, that there is nothing that America has or has not done that causes terrorism. Terrorism is violent jihad, and it's the duty of every Muslim, and that's why many Muslims are silent, because they feel if they speak against terrorism, then they must be speaking against jihad, and that's why they have a conflict to speak out, and that's why Americans should never doubt their own value system, or their own country, or their even own foreign policy.
Well, you make a good point, too, because after 9/11, and after some of the horrible things that we've seen on the news with the killing of Daniel Pearl, the journalist, we think, is it something about us? Why do they hate us so much? Why are we this great enemy? And it really is just...
No, it is, we have an open system, and they have a closed system. Their existence here is the right to Islamize us. That's how they view us. They are here because they feel they want to Islamize us. And they give us no access into their country. Absolutely. They consider non-Muslims as filth on their land. It's called negas. And that's why when our soldiers, American soldiers, went to feed the hungry in Somalia, instead of being appreciated, these people were starving by their own government. Muslim against Muslim brutality. And America was in Somalia not because they want to occupy Somalia, they wanted to feed the hungry. And what did we get for this? We didn't get a thank you from the Muslim world or from the Arab street, but our soldiers were dragged and tortured and killed.
What led you from the Islamic faith then to the Christian faith?
It was a long journey. It wasn't easy because we grew up on shaming. In the Arab world, it's a culture of pride and shame. So we could not even think of even opening a Bible or looking at any other word other than the Qur'an. So when I moved to the United States, I suddenly discovered that most of what I learned were propaganda. I befriended Christians and Jews, and when I was among my Christians and Jewish friends, I always heard the word shalom, compassion, forgiveness, love. But that was total contrast from what I grew up with. When I was among my Muslim friends, even in America, we would hear things like, even if Israel, it takes us 100 years, we still want to destroy it. We're in America to spread Islam.
Well, let's talk about that too, because we hear about the Islamic, the Muslim mosques in America and think, no big deal, it's just practicing religion. But it really is a breeding ground for terrorism, isn't it?
It's true. A lot of people think Islam is just a religion. There is a major part in Islamic education, or even the main part, is conquering the world to Islam. It is the utmost honor for every Muslim to believe in jihad, and it's done through jihad, through the sword actually. And if you look at the Saudi flag, it has a sword on it, and it's the symbol of opening countries to the sword. Opening countries through the sword.
Do Americans get this?
No.
Why not?
Because we judge everybody by our own value system. We have to understand that we have an open society, an open democracy. We give access to all nations into our country, in America, but we have no access into the Arab world, into the Middle East. They come here and they are welcomed as citizens right away. They open their mosques, they preach even violence and jihad. When I attended 2 mosques in America after I moved here, I was told we are not here to assimilate in America. We are in America to spread Islam and to change the Constitution of the United States to the Qur'an.
And now you're in America and traveling the world to spread the truth. And Nonie, we appreciate you being here. Once again, this is a book that everybody has to read. I couldn't put it down. It's called Now They Call Me Infidel, Why I Renounce Jihad for America, Israel, and the War on Terror. It will open your eyes. It will help you understand the psychology of what's behind this religion. Nonie Darwish, it has been such an honor and a pleasure to meet you. I appreciate everything that you've taught us and continue to teach people.
My pleasure, it's my duty, because I am so appreciative of America, of the Christian people, the Jewish, Judeo-Christian culture, and I'm proud to be part of it.
And that's why they call you infidel.
That's why they call me infidel.
Thank you, Nonie.
Thank you very much.